Today, I have a very special guest. One of the Invincible. He's a great man, good friend, Sol Campbell. What a pleasure to have you here at the Invisible Wall Shows. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation, my friend.
Thank you, Gilberto. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see your fantastic smile, always looking at life in the best possible way. So thank you for that lovely introduction.
This is great, my friends. Great to have you here. Step by step, I'm bringing some of the Invincible as well to be part and to have a good conversation. As you said about me, you always have a very good mind, very positive way of see life. It's very important, special at the moment we are. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because now, I think people back in the days didn't really understand the being positive, being happy, being kind of working hard, but enjoying working hard at the same time. A lot of people took it for granted. And now positivity is key for people, mental ability, the well-being, the outlook in life, even though it's tough, you have to be positive. And, you and me and there's several others at Arsenal have always been positive, even though we've had ups and downs in the past. We're positive people, and that's a beautiful thing to have, the positivity flowing through every single part of your body and your soul and your spirit.
That is very important to live life. For us, for players, now doing different stuff in our life, but we work out in the past, being positive, even though when things were not good enough, you want to lose a game and try to get back, because you don't have time to to cry, you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You have to move on. And but this is amazing. I was just looking back of let me make some research about I have my curiosity, but I'm not. It's great to see here. So you have if the information is right, you have 73 games for England and 504 professional games.
Yeah, Premier League games, yeah.
Point is, for me, looking here of the number of games you have, the titles, important titles you have in your career, and apart from the good thing I know, from the good person you are, but I want to go back in time, how does it start? How Sol Campbell was a kid, looking back in his past,
So I'm from a poor background, working class background. Maybe not as poor as some of the places in Brazil, but, poor enough. 9 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm the last one. I'm the baby. Brought up in Stratford, Plastone, East London. I'm a street footballer. I used to play football on the streets. That's where I learned most of my kind of early day football was on the street or over the park or jumping over the gates after school. And playing football there every day until nighttime, dodging cars going past when I was playing football in the streets. So I learned everything from the streets. I'm probably one of the last generation of footballers to be truly from the street football. Now I don't think you can get that anymore. I don't think it exists in England because they're always stopping people playing football. I think it maybe exists some places, but not like in poor parts of France and Spain, in Italy, in South America, poor parts of the Eastern Bloc. They're still playing football in the streets. In England, I don't see it. I don't see it anymore. But that's my kind of upbringing, street football. And then obviously from there, my first club was West Ham United. I was there as a youngster. I was 11, 12 years old. Left there, had a little bit of break. I went back to school and district football. And then I got another trial at Tottenham Hotspur Academy. Was there for a little bit. And then I got into a scholarship. The FA was organising a football scholarship for the best 16 guys at 14 years old for 2-year scholarship. So I got into that. I spent 2 years there in Shropshire, away from home, and only came back every 3 weeks or every 5 weeks. I came back and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my body. I learned a lot about my technical side in football. I got fitter. I made some good friends there as well. But also I played international football at a young age. I played at 14, 15 for my country, once in Scandinavia, and then we had another tournament in Switzerland, kind of Italy. So, and then after that, I went back to, came back at 16 and I did my apprenticeship with Tottenham, and the rest is history.
Yeah. It's very interesting. see, listen to you because it's very similar to me as well. Now,
Mm,
up on the street, play football with my friends, cousins. I only have sisters. They didn't play football at that time. It's amazing, see the comparison. It's very similar, from like come from a poor background. Parents, they have to work hard and the labor
mm,
part. But, I think this kind of situation, for us in the past, because this is what we have. We have to use here football, as a way of living. Never
mm,
told to become a football player until I have my first trial. But then listen to you, just came back on my mind
mm,
on the same pathway that
mm.
I did very similar. You think this starting this in football make you realize how difficult it was to play football when you join your first club, first academy? Now
Mm,
you apprentice and to become what you become, because you have to learn from the streets. People don't
mm.
sometimes they are not gentle to you.
Yeah, yeah.
You're kind of a fighter.
I see. I'm really strange mix. I'm very aware of what I'm doing. I'm very aware as a young boy. I was very curious as a young boy growing up. I always wanted to find out what's this, what's that. I always wanted to know. I'm always asking questions. I've always been like that. Sometimes too much to my father annoyance. But also a strange mix because I had that. Then I had street football. But then when I went to Liddershaw, I had classical football. So I had the street football mentality to kind of, work it out of a box. And then the really classic way of harnessing the street with the mix with the classic football and understanding the rules of the games and the rules of engagement and what you got to do, where you position sense, where you got to stand on the pitch, the timing of pass and using your left foot and practicing in your left foot so you can fashion something out and someone shuts you right down, you go to the left and you still make a good pass. So all those things I started to kind of teach. They taught me there time and time again for 2 years. So I kind of blended them in together. So for me, it was amazing. And then when you go from there, it gave me a good foundation to kick on. And when you do go into academy football, sometimes when I was growing up, some of the coaches did not understand you, didn't understand you, your background, and in their heads, they have preconceived ideas or stereotypical ideas of certain footballers from certain backgrounds. It wasn't the diversity in thinking back then. Maybe now it's a little bit changed, but back then they still thought if you were sitting down and you're lying on the floor in between training sessions, oh, you're lazy. But they don't realize like lazy or doesn't really want it. But for me, they didn't understand that was my time or some players' time to relax. And then on the pitch or training or working out, then you see what they can do. It's not worth being kind of uptight and ready when you want to kind of relax because you need your mind to relax and then find a balance between relaxing and then back to work. They always thought if you was doing that, you didn't want it. You didn't want to make it as a footballer. There's one thing that one coach said to me, when I was at Tottenham, I used to do that, relax in between, chill out, just want to relax. I'm not training here. I'm not training. And then when I went to training, I did my staff, training, games. And then after in pre-season, just in particular in pre-season, I would do more because I knew I had to do more. I would train a full day training and then I would do like my fitness works again to get fit. But that's all from my Liddershaw days where I was kind of last on the list of 16 guys. I was not good at long distance. My sprinting wasn't good. I had a little bit of skill, but I had to work out a lot of things. So I used to do double work all the time. When I left and came back to Tottenham, they still had their mentality of me being this, but no, I've grown so much and understand my body. So when I kind of started to make it, this particular coach came back to me and he said, when I was, 19, 20, he was still at the club. He said to me, I never knew that he was going to make it. He thought I was never going to make it because he didn't understand that I was doing so much work behind the scenes. But in front of you, you think, oh, he's not doing much. but I am doing much. I'm observing a lot. I'm observing and I'm perfecting and I'm working on my body. I'm working on my skill. I'm going back in my own time. So I would go back to my local park and I'll do all sorts of scenarios. I'll do fitness work. I'll do running. I would do skill work. After a full day's pre-season, I would go, I can't believe where I found the energy from. But I used to do that. And then next day, back and do pre-season with the club. So they didn't know all the things I was doing behind the scenes. They thought it just happened like that.
It reminds me when I came to football when I was 16 years old, and my first club. And then I stayed only 5 months. I played there, and then we have problems back home, financial situation. My mom was not very, very healthy. I came back to work. Then I went to work on a switch factory. And for 2.5 years, I worked there to have family. But I still play football, amateur football. When I was 19, I came back to the club and they got me back. And like you, I trained in the morning, but in the afternoon, I had to go back because I was leaving the training ground facility. And in the afternoon, I had to, train double. We finished the training, that time we trained quite very hard, for the academy, sometimes like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We finished the training, I stay on the pitch. Then in the afternoon, I had to go to the pitch again. It's like, try to compensate the time I was
to catch up.
I had no other time, that was my chance, this is what I did. And back then, at the beginning, what was, who was the people, inspired you, most influential person, coach, family, friends, or you remember?
You know what? Someone who really inspired me was, I would say, when I got to Littleshall, there was a guy called John Cartwright. He was one of the trainers, the England trainers. He got injured very early on. He got injured, very early, so he's had to cut his career. And then he went the coaching route. And he was fantastic with innovative ideas about football, about making sure you can play with both feet and understanding the football. He really inspired me. And also, there was a physio there who was with England as well, called Craig Simmons. And he really inspired me. I remember one day, he's a fitness guy. So I remember one day I was, sometimes you need to push me a little bit to keep me going. And I still had my East London kind of attitude as well, You need that sometimes, the grit to kind of keep it going. And he said, I remember I didn't want to do something, some kind of, I don't know, maybe a long distance or whatever, or fitness. I can't remember. And he kind of sat me down and said, you got to do it. You got to, look, he sat me down and said, give it a go. Always give it a go. Doesn't matter if you fail. Doesn't matter if you try, you can't do it. At least give it a go. And I went back to my dad. The trainer is moaning to me, blah, blah, blah. Give it a go. But then it's actually stuck with me. He actually stuck with me. He said, whatever you do, like for instance, if you're injured and you're coming back to fitness and you need to do your team is desperate to get you back in, then you need to do a fitness test. Just give it a go. If you break down, okay, you break down, at least you try. At least show them you try. And back then, it really got my nerves when I was 14 years old. But as time went, it actually stuck with me. And it stuck with me for all my career. Always give it a go. For me, the attitude and the way to kind of look in a sporting sense, give it a go. If you break down because you're not ready, your muscles are not ready, then at least the manager can see that, you know what, he's giving it a go. He's not just staying in the treatment room and not even giving it a go to his 100% fit. He's actually going out when he's maybe 80% fit and trying and pushing himself. And he's there for the team. So it always stayed with me, that type of attitude, that never say die attitude, and always giving it a go.
It's important because when we have our chance to be in this kind of environment, is very common. We see people relax because they are there. And training session, it's quite impossible to be 100% every day, but sometimes you are tired, you have a personal issue, but the normal situation, as you said, you have to give the go. Because it doesn't matter if you fail, it's part of the process, but you have to your 100%. Now, it's important. In the beginning or during your career, what was, in football, the most difficulties you face in the process of playing football, or at the beginning, something you remember?
My process, I found, was being overlooked, because people wanted to, because when I was growing up, if you didn't have your parents around you,
Okay.
and certain kids had their really loud parents and always in the face of the coaches and things like that. I didn't have that. I was on my own. So for me, I was kind of, oh, he's okay. And we're going to listen to those parents because they're in my ear. So they must be the big players and they are the best ones. And I would leave Sol. He's just there on the side and he'll the poor little boy, he might make it, he might not make it. But I got to concentrate on these guys because their parents are really in my face and they're the best ones in England or potentially the best ones in England. So I was overlooked a lot. I was overlooked when I was at Liddershaw. There was 5 players at Tottenham. All the rest of the 4 of them were all signed up. They all got signing on fees. They all lauded to say, oh, these are going to be the next best players for Tottenham. And I was on the side. I was like, yeah, whatever. He's at Liddershaw. We don't know much about him, but he's playing for Tottenham. And, who cares? He'll come in. And I remember one of my friends who played at Arsenal at the time, he said we were doing like exams and things like school exams, GCSEs, and, 15 years, 16, and we've got lots of exams. And I remember waiting for the dinner when I was at Liddershaw, and he came to me and said, "Sol, has Tottenham signed you yet?" I said, "No, they've not come back and signed me." He said, "Are you having a laugh?" I said, "Yeah, they've not signed me." And he said, "But all the other guys have been signed now." I said, "Yeah, I know they've been signed, but they've not come to me." So for me, it was like always being overlooked, and it's quite funny. The 5 guys, out of those 5 guys, certainly the one who's made it like skyrocket in another universe with what I've done in football. And the other guys, one retired within 2 years, another one retired in 2 years as well. One retired in 5 years, another one 3-4 years. None of them were really playing beyond 24, 25. But I went skyrocket, but I was overlooked. And so for me, going forward, I've always had that one overlooking what I can do because I didn't have someone loud in the background shouting who I was. I thought people would be honourable and just pick you for what you can do and what you stand for, your performances, your integrity, things that I thought that was what it's all about, football. That's what I've learned from my mum and father, to be kind of, proper and, do things properly, and you'll be seen with your hard work. And sometimes you wasn't seen with the hard work. So I kind of defaulted, started playing good football, and the rust faded. But then after a while, you can't hide the talent anymore. It's very hard as you get older, 16, 17, 18, they can't hide you anymore because it's all to show. It's all for show. So for me, one of the things that I felt is over my career, it's been overlooked, my talent being overlooked.
You have any doubts because of it? Or you always had something in mind, well, these guys are not paying much attention. I'm gonna work hard to show through my talents, through my personality, through the person I am, without having anybody outside talk about me. But I'm sure that I'm capable of overcome all this circumstance to be playing the team.
I think for me, once I hit 16, 17, 18 at an academy, the academy sieves who is good. Before, you can kind of mix, you can be a bit, oh, let's get him in, see how he is. But once you get into the academy, you get sieved out very quickly because it's all about the best. Who's the best? And you get sieved out. And the ones who got in there by their friend or they're close to the coach and, they're talking in their ear, that's fine. But once that 2 years is up, they get sieved out and the best ones go on. That's the best way. And that's the only way. And that's how it should be always, anyway. But I think for me, I learned a lot. I still feel the overlooked side. My hardship in life and growing up probably helped me overcome that and push on and keep on believing in myself. And that's the thing. You've got to believe in yourself. And I think my environment helped that. My mother and father, how they brought me up, not wanting for too much and working hard and being honest with that and knowing how hard it is in life from the early age. I mean, that helped me to inspire me to keep on going because you can easily just fade away and accept what people are saying, accept the cards you have been dealt with. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change my cards. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to change your viewpoint. I'm going to start from the bottom. I'm going to work past, and then I'm going to work past you. I'm going to learn how to go around you. If I can't go through you, I'll go around you. If I can't go around you, I'll go under you. That's how I'm going to think. And I've always had that attitude.
Always find a way where you want to go. You knew exactly where you want to go. Sometimes we don't know how, but we have to find a way when we face some difficulties. And about your family, your parents, what's the impact of them on your life, in your career? What when you see everything you have done, you see, wow, my parents, my family were important because of it. How do you see the impact of them on your life or in your career?
I wish my parents were there when I won the Premier League and things like that. I wish they were around. They weren't around to see that. They were around when I won the League Cup as captain for Tottenham. They were there then, but they're from a difficult background from Jamaica. Very, very hard. Came over to England in the 60s. It was incredibly hard for them. The wind rush. They had to start from the bottom and work the way and just work. They didn't work the way up to the top. They just worked. I think they really just worked to first get a house, food. That was an accomplishment for them to just get a house. For me, they're incredibly human beings. One was working at night, one was working in the day. It was difficult times, but still, my mother found time for love for 9 brothers, 2 sisters. My dad was typically Jamaican, really tough. Iron fist, like no messing. But my mum had beautiful kind of demeanor and nature and loving. So there was a good balance. Make sure you stay in a straight and narrow. There was a lot of brothers around, so you can easily go off the rails if you haven't got a bit of discipline. So it was in hindsight, it's probably a nice balance. But they instilled a lot in me. Instilled the attitude, keep going. You're gonna come against difficult kind of moments, and you've got to get through it somehow. Get through it, negotiate through it. And I was very good at that. Reflect and think about things, and then go again. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. Some of my brothers it's been difficult for them, but I've always been a thinker. Always been a thinker because I was last in the house. I can't speak because everybody's shouting above me. You can't speak, then you think, you look, you get very good at sussing people out, voice tones, body scenarios, and things like that. You become very good at reading people, and then that forced me to just go in the garden and play football by myself or in the streets. It was a nice balance, but my parents really instilled a lot in me, and they are, I have to say thanks to them, and because they went through a lot of stuff to try to at least make my life a little bit comfortable.
Nice, interesting. Now, when you said you weren't there most of the time, I had the same experience here because I come from a very small village, a little town. I had to start and play the capital in Belo Horizonte. Then my parents had to stay there, and we didn't have money. They didn't have afford the money to go there to see. For example, my first professional game, my parents weren't there. We were not there. But I always understood, But the principle they gave me, and the values of human being, this were very important. I can see when you say this, now I can understand what the process I've been through, and I was raised by them. All the principle, your parents gave to you, my parents gave to you. This was important for us when we get to the football, have the correct attitude, for the game and towards people, because we learn from home. And this, we learn how to deal with a lot of situations because we face a lot of pressure. How deal with the pressure, all the pressure from football, and understand, from this process of your background to adapt to a new environment?
I think it's obviously the environment you're in, but also a little bit of yourself and parents, how they are treating you, but also is something inside you as well, because you have to have that intelligence, not intelligence that you can spell, 15-letter words and things like that, and studied at Oxford and Cambridge, but natural life intelligence. A little bit of streetwise in there, but understanding that you don't know it, you can't explain it, but you just know it because you've been in that environment or you've been in something similar, and then you find the right balance that in your head and you feel, I've got to concentrate on this. Don't let that distract me. I just know this is the place or this is the thing I need to kind of master. I'm not going to allow anyone from outside or anything from outside to derail me. And that's something inside you that will stay inside and will lead you to the right path. Like, for instance, when I was on the streets, I have a mixture of friends, and some of them are doing some interesting things, not really good things. So they go to my school. So I'm like, right, I'm out with them, and then it comes to a certain time when they're drifting off and they want to do something bad. Something inside me says, do you know what, lads? I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow at school. And they go on and I go home. That's the difference. That's the difference when you're kind of in football. I remember once, I'm not going to say where I was, but there was association. We were playing some games away and they were looking at the next team the next day. It's a whole part of the team. But then some of the older ones, or some of the lads, they had cars. And so they went for like a night out. I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I put my trousers on and then put my tracksuit on, pretending I was just going to my car. And then I actually drove to the place. But then something said to me, forget it, Sol. Go back to the headquarters, go back to the centre and leave it. Came back. The next day at lunch, one of the coaches said, you know what, it's not worth it, is it? It's not really worth it. So basically they saw me going out and saw me coming back. But the guys obviously went out. Some of them went out and they came back late. 99% of those ones that went out didn't make the squad. Only one guy made the squad because he was slightly older and they could just about look the other way with him. But everyone else didn't make the cut. That's the difference between at a young age at 17, do you want to do this and have enjoyment for 1 to 2 hours? Or do you want to do that and be in the beginning of a possibility of a wonderful career in football? That's the difference. Like there was no comparison. No, forget that. I don't want to know that. I want to see if I can make it in football. And that's the difference between the natural intelligence. You don't learn, you don't read in books. It's a natural intelligence. And it doesn't come through money or class or color. It just comes in the DNA and who you are.
Yeah, just smelling the situation, understand how you cannot do.
Awareness,
Awareness is very important, because some things we want to do, but we, the time we can't. Sometimes you want to do things, but we have to understand what we want to achieve. And football is the same. To deal, because the pressure, it is not only about the game, but the environment itself. As you were aware of it, okay, I want to go out, but listen, it's not going to work. I want to be a football player. I have to stay in hotel. I have gone to plenty of times because the place when I started professional, I used to live in a house among other players. On Saturday morning, I was not one of the main players. I just started in the professional. But some of the other guys, the same condition as me, we had to train in the morning, and in the afternoon, I come back home after the train. I come back home and stay all the weekend there, listen to my music, watching TV. I only see them next week on Monday. I don't know what I do. But it's like I knew exactly what I want, and what I had to do, the kind of attitude to deal with these facilities of the world. But I ask you a little bit of pressure we face in our life, because I want, before I move to something called Arsenal, I think this is great, the great time we spend there. But just before, what was your overview from your time as at Tottenham? Now, the importance you had there, the things you learned, the people, the important people for you were, the kind of player or manager that, gave you some tips that when you moved to Arsenal, that was a big move. Everyone knows that. Helps you to grown up in your career and have a fantastic time there.
I would say the people who helped me there was probably the manager, Ozzy Ardiles and Steve Perriman. They were the first managers who took me. I just won the under-18 European Championship with England. I was expecting to have a nice little holiday, and then I got a phone call saying, "No, you got to come in for pre-season." I said, "Well, I've only finished a week ago. I was looking for 3 weeks off, and then I had to join the first team pre-season." Ozzy and Stevie Perriman were fantastic. They loved, Ozzy Ardiles was an amazing player for Argentina and Tottenham, and Stevie P was a fantastic, captain and for Tottenham as well. And I love young players and working with young players and seeing how much they can improve. And I used to go back to Tottenham and train at the ground with Stevie Perriman, and I used to work on all the sort of things. And they love players who who want to learn. You can see they were kind of seeing in their eyes the development of me as a footballer and working hard. Even though I've got into the first team and I was playing for England, he's still coming back and training by himself and listening to me. You know, that's the beautiful thing that I was doing, that work ethic to get to the top. So, you know, definitely those two. I think Gary Mabbott was a very good guy. I used to watch Gary Mabbott. He used to be the captain of Tottenham, and he was a diabetic. So back then, it was kind of hard to be a diabetic and play professional football. He really inspired me because I used to watch him and all the kind of things he had to do. You know, half time or before time, he had to have a needle and place it in between his kind of midriff and thigh to get a reading. So he put the reading down. If it's too high or too low, he would have to maybe have a Diet Coke or Coca-Cola, I'm not too sure, to rebalance himself, and then he can go out and play. Half time, he had to do that again. So for me, he had like a 15-year plus career. You know, now it's so easy now to do it now. There's a lot more easier things to help you. But back then, he was doing all himself and playing football. You know, so for me, and still a smile on his face as well. That when I saw that, all those things he had to do and play football and still have a smile on his face and still be courteous, happy when you win and courteous, you know, when you lose or whatever. But he just kept it going. He was a gentleman at football, and that side really taught me how to kind of play football, but don't fool yourself. Don't be something you're not. Be honest, be truthful, be respectful. And he showed me a lot of stuff. I used to watch him from afar. And as I said before, I'm very observant. I do like to watch and see how people are. And I'm a sponge, and I take all that information in. So Gary Mabbott definitely was good for me. And Jerry Francis as well was amazing for me as well. He was the one who made me captain of Tottenham. So I was one of the youngest captains ever. So, you know, he put that bestowed on me. He said one day, so I want you to be captain. And I must have been like 22 or something like that. And I thought, oh, wow, that's a big job. And he said, well, I'll give you 24 hours to think about it. So, okay. So then I went back, went home that night, and I kind of really thought about it because I had to think about this. I had to think, well, there's 30 years old in the team, 30 plus, and I'm 22. Are they going to listen to me? Also, taking over of the captaincy of someone who he was kind of playing but not fit all the time and blah, blah, blah. So what's he going to think if I take it off him? So all those things are kind of, you know, I had to mold those things over. And, you know, Jerry Francis was good to kind of bestow that and put that on my toes and say, look, do you want it? I'm giving it to you. Do you want it? Let me see who you are, Sol Campbell. Do you want it? And you know, I had all night, and then I came back and I slept in it, and I said to myself, you know what, Sol, go for it. Give it a go. The same thing when I was 14, when the Craig Simmons said to me, just give it a go. See, all those things. So 14, now I'm 21, 22, Sol gives the captaincy. I'm not running away. I'm saying, do you know what? Give it a go. And I gave it a go, and I haven't looked back since. So, you know, Jerry Francis was great to help me at Tottenham. And there's other great people there as well. You know, most of them gone now. But, no, they're the ones really, you know, stick out my mind, yeah.
That's great. Fantastic, no? It's great when we have people that help us, especially when we are young in this environment. You know? Back then, sometimes was quite brutal in some circumstances. But when we were young, getting to the dressing room, the older guys always, you know, sometimes laughing at us, shouting, hey, God, what are you doing? That's fucking doing it. Quite brutal, you know? But, you know, somehow it's the way they've learned in the past when they start. But it's always important when you have people that support us. You know, the same thing you had, you know, when you were 14 on Give It a Go, you had the same instruction. You kept going. And then you have, you know, a big move to us, you know. And in this process, you know, what were your main challenges in this? Because you moved, you know, to the bigger rivals at North London.
At the time, they weren't rivals. They were just geographically they were rivals, but they weren't rivals in football terms. So that wasn't. I think geographically it was just rivalry. But I think the main thing is I came injured. I was injured, so you know I got injured on the last game. I actually got injured against Arsenal in the semi-final FA Cup that was played at Man United. So that was my last kick of the game against Arsenal. So I had to get over that. And then the whole kind of scenario, it's such a long time ago, but in a nutshell, really, I had to kind of overcome and prove doubters wrong and then prove myself right. Prove myself right that I actually made football-wise, the move was great. And, look back now, reflect back, it was the right move. And the things the football I played, the people I played with, the things I won, the experience that I had, friends I've made, the records that we broke together. For football, I can feel, totally at ease. I wish, obviously, the Champions League was the icing on the cake, and we were so close, 10 minutes, and we had enough chances to finish them off. And then if VAR was around, the first goal from Eto is no goes offside, but it is what it is. But no, the first thing is really to kind of I had to win. I had to win. That force, that attitude. I had to be so concentrated. I had to be laser concentrated on my job. Laser concentrated. Because everyone was, I remember everyone, people who didn't even know football just wanted to see how it played out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People, just how's this going to play out this season? Is he going to win anything, or is he going to just fall in flat in his face? But oh no, I didn't fall in flat in the face. I won the double, FA Cup and the Premier League. So to top it off, that's just a beautiful thing. The double in your first year. There you go. Have some of that. That's not bad. So I had to prove a lot of people wrong and prove myself right, basically.
That's good. That's good. What's your memory? From there, because we had a great team, great people around us, between us, players, else. Because when people ask me about, how I describe the Invincible team, sometimes very easy, sometimes very difficult. Difficult in terms of the players. They were very high quality in terms of the players themselves, the person, and sometimes you don't want to make mistakes. That's why I make mistake things. But on the other hand, it's very easy because the people they were fantastic. What when I look back, see that the team that you play, the guys you play, what's your feeling about it?
What an amazing bunch of human beings! What an amazing! I'm so privileged to be a part of it. It's something that is so special. Only people who are in those kind of teams feel it. We may not talk to everybody, but we share that common feeling of brilliance, of hard work, of tenacity, of skill, of never say die, of challenging yourself, not only in games, but challenging yourself, in training. It was a challenge in training, if he wasn't on it, you get ripped apart in the 8v8 or 10v10. You just get ripped apart. And then you had to kind of endure the, Silva and Wilton absolutely trying to rip you. Oh, look at that. Was you out there? Was you out there today? That kind of togetherness, that bliss of total kind of connection of quality players with toughness at the same time. We're tough, but quality, skill, pace, power, intelligence, empathy, understanding of the football. So much, so highly kind of almost professor-like in football, but everyone, one entity together. We were individuals, but one entity together going in the same direction. It was like a force of nature that you couldn't stop. And it was just so good to be in that moment. I will never forget. And the characters and the interesting diversity of it as well. I just can't describe, it was touching to be a part of it. I will never forget that feeling that we shared, the wins, the losses as well, the conversations, the banter. It's such a special time to be involved with all those individuals from all around the world, but together in London, in North London, and making history and special. It's a special moment. I think people now look back, even when you look at the Invincible time, it's so special. It's so special. You look back now. I want a cup. Gigi, we've got to get a cup. Yeah. The only people who got a cup is the football club and Arsenal. We want everyone who played in that Invincible. We want a cup. I want a cup. I want a cup. Give me a cup. I want it. Because when you look back, it's so special. Come on. want to see that cup every day. When I walk into my study, I want to see that cup. I don't want to go to Arsenal. I don't want to go to Arsenal. Can I look at that cup? I want one, my own one. Give me one. Everyone should have one. It's so special what we did there. I want one.
Yeah. Oh. Let's make an appeal.
Campaign. We want one. Because then when you look back, you see how difficult it is.
Yeah.
We broke a record that stood over 100 years.
Yes.
Gilberto, over 100 years. And back then, there was only 12 teams in the division and probably no one professional. We broke something that stood for 100 years and there's only 2 cups. I want my own cup.
Make some, write some that.
Honestly, we should. It's so special. We should have our own cup. Whoever took part of the squad, we should have our own cup.
Yeah. God. It's so special. This is the feeling when people ask me about that time. Not only the team, but that time in general. Because the number of days we spent there was so special. And the sense of you are in a family environment. Everyone take care of each other. We have the Austin, his staff, Boro, Patrick, Gary Lehman, Colin, everyone, Vic Akers, Paul, and guys, from the gates, when they open up the gate for us, the street guards, everyone, this was, very special. But when people ask me, about that team, how I describe it, I said, listen, that team, is so special for me. We had in England, the quality of our game was something different at that time. Very, very different. It's the football we played, but physically we were very, very strong. Big guys, Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira, myself. I was not shorter than them, but not very, very little. And the other guys, but fast, good, very good technique. That we, most of the times, I felt that we were much dangerous when we were defending.
Yeah, because when we went down to 9 men as well. we used to beat teams with 9 men or 10 men, and we used to win.
Because, the ability of deal with depression, with everything against us, ability to understand each other and to know our main goal. The main goal, I want to win. We want to play, but next game I want to win again. This made, I think, our time very special. And
one thing I would say, one thing which just stood out for me is that even with say Martin Keown and Tony Adams and all those kind of guys who were there in the beginning and moved out after a while, Ray Parr and all that, and then you got obviously Patrick and me and Colo coming in, and one thing is, and you and a few others, and one thing is we're big. It was a big team, but the big guys can move. That's the thing. I was big, but I could move. I was big, but he can't move. But no, I can move. Colo big, but he can move. Even Martin Keown, he's big, but he could move. And for me, that was the difference. There were big guys who could move very quick, knew where they stood, knew where they should be standing on the pitch, not cumbersome, but could move and really, really quickly. I can turn it off, slow it down, quick it up, turn left, right. I feel that was the difference. We had big guys. Always little guys can move, and Robert Perez and Lundberg and Thierry. Even Thierry's tall. Dennis Bergkamp, big, but he can move. Do you know what I mean? That for me was the difference. Big guys who can move.
Yeah. No, this is true. You are correct, my friend. And this feeling is something that I always think about. But football, what's the thing you miss? Because after Arsenal, you went to other clubs like Portsmouth. You had a good time at Portsmouth as well. Yeah. Very important time. you made history there, and then you moved to Newcastle. Let's see,
and then went back to Tottenham. I went back to Arsenal.
and back to Arsenal again.
Yeah.
Very, very special as well to make all this move and then go back to the club where you have a lot of success. But then, what do you think you miss most?
I miss the big games. The big games. I know you have to work to get the big games and the big moments in football, but the big games, I do miss that. I miss the banter. I miss, how life is simple as well in football. You either want it or you don't want it. If you don't want it, you get found out very quickly. Very, very quickly. You get sussed out very quickly if you're up for it or you're not up for it. And I kind of like that black and white in sports. You are up for it or you're not, or you get taken out. The opportunity just takes you out. So I do miss that, the big games and how football sieves out people who don't want to do it. Yeah. I like that. I think just sport in general, high level sport, just sieves you out. If you want to do it, you crack on, you go on. If you don't want to do it, you get left behind. I kind of prefer that in a funny way. I prefer that. It's quicker to find out. I think football. It's quicker to find out who's next to you, who's in front of you with attitude. And the difficult games, you find that if someone really wants it, it's very quick to suss people out in games. Do they really want it? When it's really, really pressure game, time and time again, you start to you may not always like them as a person, but you can see the attitude if they really want it. I don't like him, but you know what? I gotta respect him. He's top notch and he's done X, Y, Z. He's been in the trenches with me, blah, blah, blah. You suss people out very, very quickly. Sport is very good at that. And I do miss that, how it can sieve out attitudes.
Yeah. I also miss a lot of things, but the dressing room conversation is always, very, where I learned a lot. And for me, it was very important when I came to England to learn the culture. Now I learn English. To communicate with people. It was important to have you at the dressing room, Martin, Kia, and Ray Paulo. Ray Paulo was the first person I've met, the first player in Austria with Dave Dean. He brought me, I didn't understand anything, but I tell people, even after a few years, I didn't understand him very well, but he's a fantastic guy.
It's hard look, I'm from England. It's hard for me to understand him sometimes. He's right on Cockney. I know he's from Romford, but he's right on Cockney how he talks. But yeah.
But the dressing room, is something that I really miss, this good conversation, talk about the game, I understand how things went on, learn about each other. The pre-match games with Arsene, always learn something from him, he has his particular way of seeing how he sees the game. And I've learned a lot from him. Through this, so that's one thing from Arsene that you really think, that you bring, because now you are a manager, you are coach, you are, in this process. Yeah. What you learn from him or another coach that you bring now for your new career?
For me, I've learned from Arsene setting up timing of the system, a system to kind of play to. And yeah, you tweak it on the way, but have a good balance, good structure of how you want to play. I like how he wanted to be always on the ground, playing quick football between the lines. I love that. That's the type of football I like to play. Quick football. The bigger the pitch, the better for me. And I like to move the ball around and keep the ball moving around. And he was really a big advocate. And he was one of the first to bring that into the UK, that type of slick football. I know Barcelona took it on to another level, things like that, blah, blah, blah. He was one of the first to play that type of football. And I've taken that away and implemented myself. But the clean lines and playing through the lines and on the ball, on the ground, I like that. I've taken that and I've taken that on board.
That is good. And what is the difference and the similarities you see as a player and now as a manager? What's something you can put in balance, or if everything is different, nothing to compare?
I do think more teams play quick football. Back in the days, there was only a few teams really playing quick football. We were definitely one of them. Man United were one of them as well. Chelsea was. There wasn't too many teams playing really, really quick football. I see a lot more teams doing that. But also, the one thing I'm seeing is there's so many gaps in the defence. There's so many gaps. People are they want to express themselves, but don't want to get back into shape quickly. And that's why I feel centre forwards are having a really good time, because that unit is not there, or the understanding of getting back is more what I can do offensively. But then in defence, it's a bit lacking. And I see a lot of mistakes through football, and people thinking, well, we'll make one mistake, but we'll score 2 goals the other way. I see that has changed. More offensive. It's good. I like it, but not quick enough getting back into shape. I see a lot of that. I used to see that a lot lower down in divisions when I was playing, but I see that a lot now in the Premier League.
There is any manager in the world or in the past or current manager you look at him and see, wow, this guy, now I've learned something when I see him play, or I learn from him when I see him speak, something that you look at.
I think there's like, for me, there's Pep Guardiola, there's Arsene Wenger, there's Alex Ferguson when how he did it. I really enjoyed watching them from afar. It's a wonderful thing when managers. There's Jose Mourinho in his own way, who's one of the first guys to really study each player and give the information to his team. So like a little dossier, just do this against this guy. He does ABC. You do the ABC this way, then you can counteract him. This is what you're going to expect. So he used to do that like a little dossier of each player, who 9 times out of 10 would come into your zone. So he's one of the first guys to do that. And I've kind of understood, I've taken away some of it, analysing. Now a lot of people do analysing, up and down the country and read on it. So those kind of guys I admire, because they've won things and they've been repeat kind of champions in their own right. So yeah, you take a little bit of these guys and you implement it into your own football style.
What is the last question? Now,
I know.
But what is your goal as a manager?
This is a journey for me. It's a journey. I want to be the best manager I can. I want to kind of see how far I can go in as a manager. I want to see how high I can go as well. I want to reach the top. I want to manage in the Premier League. I want to manage even a national team as well. But I want to see how far I can go. I want to, have that experience, and I'm prepared to kind of do the work. I just want to kind of see how football can change me and how I can change football as well. I want to change football for the best, for the future as well. If I can do that whilst I'm going up the ladder, that'd be great. If I can do that just by being successful, that's even better. So, I want to see how far I can go. I'm passionate for football. I want to just get back I want a stable club that I feel proud of, and they feel proud of me. They get me, and I want to do the best for them. I'm waiting. I'm being patient. It's difficult sometimes because I have to wait, and there's so many hurdles you've got to jump over to get a job, and I'm prepared to do that. But I just want a fair chance, fair crack of the whip, like some of my competitors and peers have had. I just want give me the same game time and the quality club as some of my peers, and see how I fare. Give me a chance, and don't listen about the past. Listen now about where I am now and where you are as a manager. You're given, guys have given chances. Give me a chance. I'm ready. I'm professional. I want it. I love football. I know how to run football clubs. I want to be successful wherever I go, and I'm willing to kind of work, day and night to achieve that.
Oh, fantastic. So, well, my friends, I wish you all the best for you and your managed career. Guys, look at Sol. I know this guy. He's passionate for football. He's a man that can help you. With the way, very good leadership. And I'm sure your time will come, and I'll be here. Anywhere I am, you have me in mind that I'll be supporting my friends. Yourself. Best of luck to you and the family. And once again, thank you very much. Very kind. Now I could spend all day long talk to you, and there's a lot of story. But hope to catch up soon, my friends.
Yeah, thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Gilberto. Thank you for having me on this. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Okay. See you, G.